We are doing this the very first time, so I'm a little excited on getting all the tech sides to work. And yeah, very, very happy to be there. Hearing that the audio is coming across well. So I hope you are having a very good day, and I'm very much looking forward to connect to you, to take up a difficult topic, maybe a little bit out of the box, unbox it, and see what we can do with it. So I hope it's possible for me to share my screen, which is what I'm doing right now, and it does work. So I have a few slides that I want to share with you to get started, to warm us up basically to a topic that is, yeah, not that easy to talk about. Let me just change something quickly here, that you have more access to the entire screen, and turn this off here as well. So I hope you are having everything on the screen right now. We just have a few slides to get started. And yes, here is our topic for today. We are spinning straw into gold, and we are talking about how to use failure as a resource. And the place where I want to start with you today is that this is a pay it forward session. What does it mean? I don't know if you know that concept, but there's a movie even about that concept, to pay it forward. It means that we cannot do things alone. We need other people to help us move forward, to see ourselves in a different way, to recognize our strengths. And the pay it forward is that you're doing something like that for others. And this is what I loved when I came across the Life Coach University and met Diane Lu, who was the idea creator around this. And she invited me to give this session for you, for anybody out there, for free, for a pay it forward token, let me say that, so that whatever we are doing here together is handed on to you, so that you can hand it on to other people in turn, or in return, to reach as many people as possible with this topic that we are having in our session today. And there's lots of sessions like this ready for you at the Life Coach University. So let's get into the topic of today. It's about things that happen, things that don't happen in a way that we may have planned them to, but they happen like that anyway. This is just what life is. We move on, things happen, and the sky doesn't fall on our head, but sometimes it feels like that for us, because we are so attached to that outcome, to that goal we want to reach. We put all our hearts and minds and souls into it, that it is, of course, very touching in our hearts when it doesn't happen the way we want them to happen. So we want to talk about those kind of situations. And, if you're putting this into the normal, wordings of what is used, maybe even in a workplace or in other, kind of settings where you are maybe volunteering in a nonprofit organization or any kind of other setting where we're working together with other people, then it's this topic, call it shit happens, or fuck ups, or failure, it sounds something, really bad. It's like, well, something has happened, but anyway, still we can go on. It's very much somehow has a negative connotation. And I don't see it like that at all. I feel that, when you try something new, when we're getting started into working with new people, when we're meeting new people, there are so many questions around, how is that person, how is that idea gonna grow, how what do I need to do, what do I need to expect, there's so many open questions at that point that we can't know actually how we need to answer all of them and how we need to proceed and what is the next step. We can't do that because it's a new situation. And when something is new, there is per se not an answer because you're doing something new. So for me, these kind of situations are all actually about learning how to ride a bicycle, about learning how to speak on stage or whatever, however you finish that sentence. So it's about this learning that is hidden in something that we package up with very negative words. And if it doesn't work out, this is how we feel. And we feel ashamed, right? And I'm sure you know that kind of a feeling. And I need to go back because maybe you have that question now, do animals feel like that too? No, they don't. I mean, this is just a coincidence that, we can capture a cute little cat here in this pose. This cat is actually cleaning him or herself, right? They don't have shame. Something happens, they correct it, they find out it didn't work, and they try it again. But we have that. Humans have that. Oh no, what did I do wrong? It's really that, the whole energy goes out of our body and we feel like we have done something wrong. We are wrong. We are interpreting this in this very, very strong way. So I want us to look at some numbers about, what is actually going wrong and, how often do things go wrong. And I'm just letting these numbers fly in here so that we can pick out some of them. And actually, if you look at it from a presentation point of view, having so many things flying in and kind of clogging your mind and making you distracted with everything here, this is also not the way how you should present something to people because it's confusing people, right? So you can see a couple of numbers here that should actually make us more confident that things do go wrong, and that's actually the normal thing. So I would like to pick out a couple of numbers here only so that we can focus on them. Let's use 5 of those numbers that have come. And you can see that these numbers are, really big. There's like high percentages here. So what do these numbers refer to? So the first one I love to relate to because I've done lots of work in the IT sector and working with people with IT skills and with technical skills. So they say that 68% of IT projects fail, do not reach their goals. That's already a high number. So if I speak to some of them, they say, well, it's rather 80%. And do you normally hear about this? I mean, I'm sure almost every one of us has been in organizations or even in your own home, you're trying to set up some kind of an IT system and it fails, but you don't hear about them very often. It's like it just becomes quiet. So that's a huge number. You're staying in that same range, 80% of partnerships fail. Well, that's even higher than marriages. I think, it's always presented to us that like 50% of marriages fail. Well, business partnerships is even higher. And I have lots of stories in that corner, business partnership failure. Even bigger number, 95% of new products never arrive on the market. Well, do we hear about them? No, we don't, right? Very personal one, maybe, and maybe you have been in this this role, 81% of new hires do not work out as expected. So if you have ever looked for a new job and you got one, and then after maybe a couple of months you were out of it again, how shitty do we feel about that? We feel like our whole world is collapsing, right? And now if you see that this happens to 81% of people who are starting a new job, this is just horrible, right? And we don't hear about it. Startups is an area where I have been at home for the last 25 years. I work with idea owners, as I call them, so people who have ideas and who want to grow them in all kinds of different settings, one of them being a startup. Well, lots of them, 2/3 of them, disappear in the first 18 months. So maybe now you can see that there's so much of failure out there that we actually realize, if we are trying something new, we're actually heroes, because these huge numbers, we are trying to go against these huge numbers. So, whoops, this is what I want you to remember. We are doing something new. We are maybe fighting for something. We are teaming up. And that's the bridge. That's the foundation. That's the power we have, our togetherness. Together, we can face so many things. We can get into new situations and use all of our senses, our energies, our wisdom to master those new situations. It's actually about this. It's about us being able to stay cool, because emotions will approach us, will come over us like a big wave, like a tsunami, and sweep us away. So we have to find ways of actually diving through this wave of emotions that is connected with things that don't work the way we wanted them to work. So who is actually talking to you? I'm sorry, I didn't even get into introducing myself. And that's actually something I would like to keep that way and do it actually intentionally. Well, I have worked the last 25 years in this area of getting people to come together, capture some of the ideas that are in their mind, gather their strengths and competencies around this idea, and building it up, growing it from the very first seed that has started in your mind. My name is Jutta Jerlich, and I have been collecting all the skills and competencies around failure for the last 25 years. I've learned how to turn around that idea, that venture you're working on, until I can find this positive side, that specific filter or that specific angle to look at it, so you can find a way forward. Because I believe all of the ideas that we have in our minds come to us for a reason. And yes, in many, many areas of our lives, it's always about counting. It's counting everywhere. It's pressuring us to evaluate, to connect us to something that we can say it's good or bad. These numbers, I'm having even trouble to explain this to you, because I'm actually not in front of those numbers at all. It's complying to something that has been put on, top of our minds as a pressure somehow from society. Well, I've worked with lots and lots of teams of young engineers at the Vienna University of Technology, helping them to grow their ideas. I worked with leaders, with CEOs in idea exchange forums. I've organized and designed dozens of hackathons, mostly with educational goals for the networking academy in many countries, some of them across several cities. And I've spent uncountable hours in mentoring engineers, tech-oriented minds, or people who are considering, who are, drawn to magically to actually listen to their ideas and wanting to grow them. But like I said, this counting is one side of us. There is another big, big part of our lives that we actually can't define and explain with our means of counting. And those parts of our lives are much more important than everything we can count. So I really got into, sharing these stories of failure, and I worked on it in the context of an initiative that is called the Fuck Up Nights. What is the Fuck Up Nights? It started with a young group of people in Mexico City who said that they wanted to come together and speak about the projects that failed. They wanted to learn from them together. And here you can see me telling my own story, one of my business partnership failure stories, to an audience of 300 people. And even though, I am organizing such nights myself, it is a very, very emotional challenge to speak in front of so many people about something that you care for, that you're emotionally, deeply involved with, and to people you have never met before, mostly, right? So this is a challenge I wanted to, capture, or a challenge that I wanted to overcome myself. Because I believe that the power of our words when we speak about failure stories is really something that liberates other people to look at their own and to speak about their own and to change that culture we have around things that don't work out. And yes, if you want to come to the bottom line about speaking about failures, you're speaking about a certain moment in time. It's like a snapshot. It's like now, we could speak about something that goes wrong right now. And there's always something that goes wrong when you're presenting something to other people. The advantage is that you don't know what went wrong. It's just inside my head, right? And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about now. So it's a moment in time we're talking about. And then there's already the next moment and the next. So it's something that doesn't stay. And this is something that we have to keep in our minds as well. And it's up to us. It's up to us to choose the direction. It's up to us to understand that we have a choice. We can choose how we want to see things. And I really believe it's time for a change. It's time for us to be that change that we need to be for ourselves and for others. And at the beginning, it might look like that, right? It looks like there's not really a clear pathway ahead. There's a lot of fog. And actually, where I am today in Europe, we have exactly that kind of a fog. But we do know that, on top of clouds and fog, whatever is there, there's always a blue sky. So we just need to get started. And we can always remember that, if we're falling if we are failing, if we're stumbling, we can make it part of the dance. And that's the art that I would like you to open up yourself to, and that's the art I would like to bring you. So I think that was enough of me talking. And now we can get into questions. So I hope very much that we do have some questions coming in from our audience. I would like you to also welcome Alexis Geronga. She has been instrumental in supporting me in everything I do, and she's here for us today as well to bring in some questions that we have from our audience. Hey, Alexis, maybe you can. Hi. Thank you so much for supporting our session today.
No worries. I'm sharing the link to your mentoring session. So they can get more information about it, and if they're interested and curious about it, then they can book an hour with you at least.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this is what's on the slide here. I would be very happy, of course, to take up one-on-one sessions with you about those topics we're talking about, how to turn around failure into the learning that is actually hidden inside, how to spin the straw of our lives into gold. So maybe we can take the question here that is surely into our audience mind now, where to start. I think this is one of the questions that always comes. It's really a huge topic, right? If we talk about failure. So where do we actually start as an individual? And even as an organization, as a group of people, as a community? Where do we have to start? How can we tackle this huge topic? We want to change a culture, right? And that's a very difficult question. So where do we start? Well, my first point when I start to work in one-on-one sessions or with organizations is actually defining what we actually mean with failure. Defining an error, right? Defining a mistake. What does it mean in our context? If we say, well, that was a mistake. Well, in some areas, it's quite easy, right? If you drop a bottle and it breaks, or I don't know, you do something wrong that is very clear to you as soon as it has happened. That's an error, that's a mistake. That's something, if you had known better, if you have done it before, maybe you'd known how to do it differently. If you put this into the context of, science or the body of knowledge that we are in, then it might be that this is much more in the corner of quality management, right? We are trying to not stumble, not fall down the stairs. It's a very clear context there. In that case, it's more about our, being present, being in our strength. being aware and taking care of what we're doing in that moment, we are doing it. But then there's other types of mistakes or failures that happen connected to our behavior, connected to how we deal with each other as human beings, connected to situations where we don't have answers because it's a new situation for us. Just imagine you got a new job and it's your first day at this new organization. You go there and everything is new. Maybe there's one person that you have met during the application process, but that's the only known face. And even, calling this a known face is that you have met that person before once. So there's like all factors around you are new. The people are new, the location is new, the task is new, everything is new. So where to start there? It's becoming already very complex. So the first step for everyone is to sit down and start a conversation with yourself to understand what you actually define as something that you have done wrong. A big question too, right? Have you ever done that? How much, let's say, space do you allow yourself for making mistakes? Is it okay if you drop a bottle and it breaks or something else? How much do you punish yourself for having done something wrong there? How much do you consider the circumstances you were in that moment when the bottle dropped? What was actually the circumstances? Are you aware of what maybe distracted you? And I would like to give you a very, very specific example from my own life. I normally take, very, very good care of my wallet or my bags that are with me when I'm somewhere out there shopping. I've actually created a kind of like a mind map about where something has to be so that I don't forget anything of what I'm carrying with me when I'm shopping. Well, that one day I was out shopping with a friend of mine, and for some reason we got into, I don't know what it even was now looking back, some kind of a distraction. Probably there was a lot of people around, or it was late, so that the store was almost about to close. And people were pushing and saying, hey, hurry up here, get your things together, pack up the stuff you bought, and get out of the store. We are closing. And I had the feeling like, no, I need to stop. But this was a very, very small instant, just a couple of seconds actually, that thought came. Pushed it away, was not aware of it. Realized only so much later that thought was actually there. So when I'm back home, and this was it must have been on a Saturday, because it was the weekend after that. So when I'm back home, I'm seeing that my wallet is not there. And I'm sure you can join me in that feeling, when you've lost your wallet with your money in it, with your credit cards, with probably IDs in it, and all kinds of maybe, very valuable personal small little things that you carry in your wallet. So I needed to sit down and first of all go back in the recording of my mind to try to find out what has happened. Where could I have left the wallet? You're not aware of that. You just have the result. It's not there anymore. And you're like, oh my God, where in the hell could I have left it? So, okay, sitting down, closing your eyes, trying to breathe properly, and not thinking of all the consequences that are immediately in your mind, right? You have to cancel your cards. You have to file for getting new ID papers. You have, million consequences and a lot of costs connected to that as well. Okay, I tried to stop myself in going into that. What are the consequences now? And yeah, try to access this recording that our brains keep about what I have done those couple of hours before. And I first start there. Okay, where did I have the wallet in my hands the last time? Where I was consciously having that wallet in my hands? Well, it was at that store when I was paying for the stuff that I bought. Okay, closing our eyes. What did I do with that afterwards? Where did I put it? Did I not put it back to the space where it normally is? I mean, did I not have it? Did I not act on the usual process that I used, put something back to where it was? I mean, that's the reason why I have that template. Okay, need to capture myself here. Stop blaming. Let's just access the information. What did I do? Well, our bodies and our mind does record actually everything we do. So this is a really, really valuable skill if we can learn how to access that detailed recording that we actually have access to. This access is working through a door that we keep open, that we keep the curiosity of what has actually happened to us and to that wallet that I'm talking about right now. So if we are going into blaming ourselves and feeling really bad, getting angry at ourselves inside, why we have been so stupid to forget where we put that wallet, that door closes. Yeah. Our brilliant minds don't want to be accused and put down because our brilliant minds actually know exactly what we have done. But if we are starting to put ourselves down, this door, this access to this information is actually being shut. So it's a real challenge to work with yourself to recover this information that you actually have in your mind. Breathing and really understanding that situation, that emotional being held captive somehow. That's how it feels. Understanding that and letting that go. And okay, I'm just curious. I just want to know what I've done so that I can make a decision of what to do next, right? Do I actually have to do something to protect myself about the things that have been in that wallet and that could lead to even greater damage? Okay, I was able to, capture myself there and stay in that place. And I was actually very convinced that it was left right there at the cashier. And that store is a store that I am thinking very highly of. So I had the trust in that store and in the people that work in that store, that they will find my wallet and that they will keep it safe. So I actually took the decision that I would not call up the bank now and block my credit cards. I would not do anything actually, that I would wait till Monday morning when that store opens again and give them a call and find out if my positive assumption that my wallet is actually in a safe place right now is true. And now you may be very curious about that. What actually happened to that wallet? And it was one of those stories that have a very good ending. I called up Monday morning, first thing when they opened, and the person who answered the phone was said, yes, your wallet is here. We have it safe. It was brought over to our information desk right there Saturday, last thing before we closed the store. And that made me very relieved, of course. And it gave me that confidence and that trust that things actually happen for a reason. This was one of the stories that really helped me to find that solid ground inside myself again, where you can trust your own thoughts, where you can access them in all of the details, even after that, after something has happened. Something has happened to you that you wanted to avoid. And it was that starting point where you can become more aware in future situations to listen to that small voice that has actually been telling you, attention, there is maybe something that you are leaving behind, something that you are not reacting to if you were supposed to, something that you didn't want to do again in such a way. Maybe you've done that already before and you have taken the time to reflect about it and made a decision that if such a situation happens to you again, you will react differently. But it's not that easy, it's really, it may sound easy now. Of course, a story always sounds easy afterwards. But if you're in a story, you have to be patient with yourself. You have to be kind with yourself. It was not that easy, but actually, I'm trying to think back now, if that has happened again, I think it has not happened again. I've never lost my wallet or left my wallet somewhere after that. And I've actually have not been alone that time. There was a friend with me, and we made an agreement, actually. We made an agreement that if there is a situation that kind of, put ourselves in a pressure, there's something is about to happen, like the store is closing, you are not very present because of distractions, that we are actually asking ourselves specifically, do we have everything with us that we had when we came? Now, this is, of course, something that is much easier to capture, right? You're going somewhere, you're coming into a place, and you have maybe 4 things with you, so you can count before you go out. Do I have these 4 things still with me? Especially on trips, I actually do that. How many suitcases, how many bags, how many things that are somehow in your hands do you have? On the way to the airport, on the way to the gate, coming back out, getting the things that you've stored above your heads in the compartments in the plane or in the train or in the car. Where's that book that you have been reading? Actually, right now I'm looking for a book. And I know I've been reading that book and I can't remember where I've left that one book. And find out. So this is an example, a practical example from life that I'm sure every one of us can relate to, because it has happened to us before. Well, all kinds of stories of failure have elements of the same situation that we have just talked about. So this is where we can start when we are trying to decompose, trying to understand what is that learning in the situation that life puts us into. Where is this golden nuggets hiding in all the straw that is thrown upon us? Well, for me, this very, very important skill of learning how to capture that small voice, this intuition that we have whenever we are in situations and something is not going right. If you are able to not blame yourself and to really access through that door to these detailed recordings that we have, we can go back to those moments, to those, split seconds where we were actually hearing that voice, where we were hearing, don't do this, or, oh, there's feeling is here, Actually, those voices don't speak to us in that way. They don't say, don't do this. These voices can't really put that even into words. These small voices may come in feelings, may come in something that happens to your body. You maybe, I think that's it actually, It's a feeling, it's an impression, it is something that should alert us. But because they're so fast and they're gone so fast, it's really hard to capture them. But I think that's one of the tasks we have come here to Earth, to understand ourselves, to learn about ourselves, and to have an open mind, an open channel to this information that comes to us from the universe, from within us, from strange places, you might think, right? All this fluffy stuff. I work with engineers a lot. So in a world of technology, talking about what comes to the through the universe to us, or even to our inner voices, is not really something that you want to base your learning on. But the starting point within us is for sure something that you can relate to. I'm very sure with this description of my situation of leaving my wallet at the cashier in the store is something you can relate to. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about when I'm speaking about those inner voices that are gone in a split second. So here's where I would start the conversation about finding that gold that is hidden in the straw. Inevitably, we would find those definition of what you actually think is a failure, what you think is a mistake. right? What connects us as human beings is that we have that very inner drive to become better every day. We want to evolve, we want to grow, we want to learn something, we want to be more the next day. That's a very, very human element, a very human motivation and intention that we all want to do. We want to have more in life. We want to have maybe more money. We want to have more time. We want to have more of something. It's very rare that you meet people who say, well, I'm happy just the way I am. We have this inner drive to have more of something constantly. Well, if you're interpreting it in a way, and if you're, allowing yourself to go to that corner, maybe we can commit ourselves to become more ourselves every day, to learn about ourselves every day a little bit more, to listen to that inner guidance, those inner voices we have more every day, so that we can feel the emotions of happiness and joy and balance and peace more every day. I've been carried away here with my story, so I hope that you are able to connect to it and to find that bridge to your own reality, to your own daily lives, and find that starting point that will help you to work with to get trained in this activity, to actually train yourself in this activity of turning things around and around and around till you find that part of whatever situation that you have in mind now that you would actually like to understand and to improve your understanding about this learning that is hidden in those situations where we feel we have failed. Yeah, let's breathe and let's give ourselves a hug for this effort to actually getting started. Thank you very much. There is a comment coming in. Hey, Jutta, you're so wise. I've learned so much from you. Thank you for all that you have shared here with us. I'm so happy, and thank you very much for this comment. It's a starting point. It's, actually sharing those stories that happen to us, even the stories of trying to learn about ourselves, about this conversation that we have with ourselves, is something that needs courage to share with others, to share with friends, actually. Yes, that is actually one more recommendation or one more tip I would like to give you. And thank you for these other inputs that are coming in. Very humble to hear that you can take something with you from our session together. We're coming to that other point. that second point, that starting point. It's about the who now, right? We have somehow made a conversation with ourselves now here together in this session, silently. It would help us a lot, right? If we could share that with others. So maybe you can make yourself a list in your mind, or you can go on the quest of, who would actually be a person that I could have such a conversation with? Who do I trust that I can speak to about my inner feelings? Is there someone around me? Is there a friend? Is there maybe a teacher? Is there someone in that circle of people that you know? Maybe your grandmother, someone who loves you from the point of view that whatever you do, that person will still love you. It doesn't matter how many mistakes or errors you've done. That person will always love you. That love will not go away. I know that there are people around us that love us in that way. It's an unconditional love that we are looking for. An unconditional connection that we have to some people that will never go away, no matter what we do. So go on that quest and find someone that you can actually have conversations, deep conversation with, where you can ask questions on how they would actually approach this task of becoming more of ourselves, and how they deal with feelings around not having been enough, not having done enough, having made mistakes. And this is the one message I would like to really hand to you with both of my hands, with all of my heart. We always try to do our best, right? So we have to give ourselves that credit that we are enough. We are the best version of ourselves. And we are striving for that every day. So this is actually another small power source for our motivation to learn more about ourselves, right? So I would like to say thank you for everyone who listened in. And I would like to say thank you to the Life Coach University for inviting me to share some of my stories here, and for bringing up this great concept of a paid forward platform to be that support, to be that connecting force between us as human beings, to support each other, to be there for another. And that's the complementing side, right? If you can be there for someone else, to be that trusted person, that unconditional connection with that person, so that you can have conversations about what you regard as a failure. And that you actually together are able to put that shame and anger and whatever feelings come up for you around it, a little bit to the side, to be able to access the recordings of our minds, to access that moment when you actually maybe receive the message of how to act, how to not act, of what to do, of receiving that guidance from within you. I wish you to find a person that is that support, that bridge for you. Or I wish you to have the courage to be that person for someone else, for someone who needs that conversation to feel better, to find that angle of wisdom, that golden nugget of learning. Thank you very, very much for spending this hour with us. And I will see you again in a month from now, where I would like to bring a concept to you that explains a little bit more why it is so hard for us to see certain things, and why it is a very conscious effort that we have to take to access this detailed recording that we have in our minds. But that is left for our next time. So looking forward to that. I would very much love to get in contact with some of you who would like to connect with me in terms of mentoring sessions. You have the link there. And just getting to that application form will also give you a little bit of a sense of maybe how it is to work with me. Looking forward to that, in service for you on those greater goals that we have as a society, as a community of human beings, to be there for each other. Question is coming in. When is our next session? I think it's exactly in a month from now. Let me check in the calendar. Well, you will definitely get to know it. I think today is the 27th of October, so it can only be the same time. Maybe, Alexis, you can post that date when the next session is on right now. You will definitely be.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Did you find it? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm somehow stuck.
It's on November 24th, last
Indeed.
Wednesday of the month.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alexis, for supporting me in this. Thanks to everyone who has been here. See you on November 24th. Thank you.
Thank you.